We are gathered here on the traditional territories of the people of Treaty 7, comprised of the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, as well the Tsuut'ina people, the Dene people who are Tsuut'ina, the Îyârhe Nakoda people, comprised of the Chiniki, Bears Paw, and Goodstoney First Nations, and of course, this land is home to the Northwest Métis, represented by the Otipemisiwak government, and we are in Districts 5 and 6. Again, we always share and acknowledge that this place is a wonderful gift for us to get to call this place home. And in doing so, part of the acknowledgement that we offer is to acknowledge that, to remind ourselves that we all share in that, in the responsibility and the stewardship, as Saako Kato shared, and moreover that all of you who represent the great depth and breadth of our arts and culture community are also gifts to our community and to our city. You bring meaning, you bring sense making, you give us the opportunity to share in the stories that you create on our behalf, and you make us feel like we belong. And that is an extraordinary thing. And I am just so grateful to get to be with all of you today and share a bit about what happened in 2025 and, more importantly, what we think the opportunities going forward are for 26 and beyond. And really, you know, again, just show our gratitude. We often talk at Calgary Arts Development about being in service to the community. And particularly on those days when we have to say no to a grant application, sometimes can feel pretty hard to feel like we're in service, and in turn to feel like we are actually serving you. But nevertheless, that's something that's on our mind always, and how we continue to elevate the role of arts and culture here in Calgary to create that city that you've heard me all say is a place that all of us deserve, not some of us. So, not only, again, thank you for attending today, but for those of you who were able to join us at Vertigo Theatre this past Sunday for the Canada Council's announcement, it was a really extraordinary turnout. We have one of our colleagues from the Canada Council, Gabrielle, who's here with us, and it was really, really wonderful about how Calgary's arts community shows up on a Sunday at 9 in the morning with less than 40 hours notice. And it really impressed our guests from Ottawa and Edmonton. The Minister of Arts and Culture and the Status of Women, Tanya Furr, was also there. And it just represents, again, the way in which this community comes together. Our annual report to community gives us the opportunity to, as I said, share what was accomplished as stewards of the city's significant investment in Calgary's arts sector. So I'm going to take a bit of time. We'll do a bit of a look back to 2025, share a bit about what we're thinking for 26 as we prepare for the next 4-year budget cycle, and also have a couple of guests who will contribute to how we undertook our work in 25. So on the next slide. This slide, you'll see a small sample of the variety of our, oh, look, I don't have to look up there because I can look there. It never happens, so it's like so fancy. It gives us the opportunity to share what happened, or all of the offerings that many of you in this room offered in 2025, organizations that we invested in. Our grant investment programs support a wide variety of artists, artistic disciplines, events, and organizations, and our work is guided by our commitment to truth and reconciliation and our values of equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. Our work is in service to Calgarians who value the role the arts play in creating a vibrant city and in making Calgary a better and more beautiful and prosperous place to live. Next slide. In 2025, as you can see up here, we granted $15 million into the arts sector through 653 grants, and this investment supported almost 40,000 arts experiences by organizations that received grants with a total participation of 5.6 million people. Next slide. This slide is showing the list of grant investment programs from our largest, which is the operating grant investment program, to the rest, including project grants for arts organizations and individual artists, the Future Focus program for arts companies undergoing organizational change, as well as grants with specific focus on ensuring greater inclusion, such as the Original Peoples Investment Program, the Indigenous Cultural Connections Program, and ArtShare. Next slide. Now, I know that economic impact of the arts isn't always the way we want to lead with, but we do need to acknowledge and recognize and make it known that the arts have a significant impact, particularly to our City Council and to other Calgarians. The economic impact of Calgary's creative industries report reflects that the creative industries play a foundational role in shaping Calgary's cultural identity and economic resilience. The most recent year data available is 2022, and it reported that the creative sector in Calgary accounted for 9.8% of all businesses in the city and generated $2.63 billion in direct revenue and $1.3 billion in GDP. And I anticipate that the subsequent years will have seen that grow. As you can see, our numbers have grown year over year. When we narrow in those stats to the parts of the creative industries that CADA invests in through our most significant programs, the operating grant program, as an example, organizations CADA has supported through this program created over 13,000 jobs for artists, almost 900 full-time equivalent jobs for arts workers in Calgary in 2025. These organizations in the program in 2025 also generated $169.8 million in total revenue and exceeded $167.7 million in direct economic output. A study by Root Economy dug deeper and found that funded arts organizations in this one program, so that doesn't include the others that I showed you on an earlier slide, contributed $31 million in tax revenue to municipal, provincial, and federal governments across Canada. So when someone says, you just take the funds, you don't give anything back, that's not true from a financial perspective, let alone the other ways that we'll talk about more. Next slide. Narrowing in on parts of the creative, is that next? See, I've already lost track of my slide. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, see, I get caught up. In 2025, the city's investment in our programs, which worked out to approximately $13.15, like how much more specific can you get, per Calgarian, or less than the cost of one beer at the Saddle Dome. Supported just under 40,000 arts experiences, and this included more than 9,000 activities for youth, enjoyed by 232,000 young people. Next slide. Now, we all know taxpayer dollars come from all Calgarians throughout the wards, not just some. And we know that arts organizations that we invest in work hard to reflect and include Calgary's diverse communities. In 2025, the organizations that we invested in provided 5,290 activities engaging multicultural communities, 3,042 engaging people with disabilities, 1,704 engaging Indigenous communities, and 943 engaging 2S LGBTQIA+ communities. Next slide. Thank you, Calgary Folk Music Fest, for this amazing drone shot. We always let city councilors know that your work contributes to a vibrant city, which is important to visitors, businesses, and residents, and that your work helps shape Calgary's global reputation as a desirable place to live, work, play, and visit. And we shared that this morning with City Council when we had our annual shareholder meeting, and it was a great conversation. The arts contribute to the city's downtown strategy, and the massive influx of cultural infrastructure we're seeing is a testament to the importance of the arts to our city's downtown and to our city broadly. The city's 2025 Perspectives on Calgary Downtown report confirmed arts and culture have a big influence on people's decision to visit downtown. Their reasons being to be entertained and have fun, that's 83%, to enjoying the arts and culture scene, 82%, and to see or do something different, 76%. Next slide. Now, even though it could be argued that the downtown core is the cultural heart of the city, it's important to note that the 195 organizations that we invested in make the arts available to Calgarians in every ward of the city. So this map shows where arts activities take place. The work you do matters, and making sure that arts are available in every corner of the city also matters. Next slide. We also asked organizations supported through the operating grant program to share their audience data from their 2025 arts events. This map shows the locations of audience for just 62 of the 195 organizations, with an attendee or participant on virtually every single residential block in the city. So this translates for us when we have a councillor in one of the outer wards who says, yes, but nothing happens in my ward. And it's like, maybe there's less. We can't have major venues and performing arts centers and other kind of arts venues all the same size in all the wards. But what we do know is regardless of where you live, you come, you take part, you participate, and multiple times. So we're still working out, but it's not like it's one postal code per company. In many instances, those postal codes showed up multiple times for a variety of arts organizations, and that's just like less than half of the organizations, so that's a third. So imagine when we get the other 2/3 up on there, all you're going to see is blue. This is one of the ways that we know Calgarians value the arts, because they go, they take part. Another way is through the Calgary Citizen Engagement Survey, which we now do every year to monitor Calgarians' overall engagement with the arts and to help us understand community perception and interactions with arts and culture. The fourth and fifth waves of the Spotlight on Arts Audiences research were conducted and released by Stone Olafson in 2025, and we continue to co-fund this work as a service to our sector because it offers important insights that help arts organizations understand audiences in the post-COVID market as they build relevance and grow attendance. I'm sure most of you are paying attention to the findings of this research, and you can find out more details on our website as well if you haven't seen it yet. Next slide. In our current agreement with the city, we also steward an additional $1 million that is used primarily to support the brand of the Blue Sky City and contribute to the growing creative economy. By supporting initiatives like Rise Up, Chinook Blast, and Blue Sky Arts in partnership with other city builders like Tourism Calgary, Calgary Economic Development, the City of Calgary, and the Calgary Hotel Association, we are supporting opportunities for Calgarians and visitors to experience events that range from small pop-up performances to large-scale spectacle events like Chinook Blast that draw hundreds of thousands of people every year. As you advance the next slide, I'd now like to invite my colleague Kirsten Schrader, who's the Director of Public Art, to talk a bit more about our public art program and the advancements that we've made in that stream for our program in 2025. So over to Kirsten.
Maybe I'll just duck a bit. Hi, everybody. Let me know if you can't hear me.
You can stand straight up.
Can I?
Yeah.
You can hear me if I do this? Okay, excellent. That'll be better. Over the past 6 years, it has been our honor to serve as the stewards of the city's public art program. The public art program aligns with our commitment to support artists, our belief in the power of artists to shape the city of the future, and our vision to see Calgary's creative economy thrive. Before CADA took on the program, the city undertook engagement with over 3,000 Calgarians to learn what they wanted to see from a public art program. We took the learnings from that engagement very seriously, understanding Calgarians wanted a program that was engaging, relevant, and transparent. They also wanted a program that was focused on local artists. We offer three strengths to align with what Calgarians want. The first is our ability to manage the commissioning of major installations and permanent programs. The second is mentoring and developing local artists so they are not only featured here, but also around the world. And the third is encouraging, understanding, and creating awareness of public art by Calgarians. We are also responsible for activating and commissioning for the existing Civic Art Collection, which is one of the largest and most respected municipal art collections in the country. This slide highlights the Public Art Guide, which we launched in 2025. It is an interactive digital map showing the public art that shapes our streets, parks, and gathering spaces in every quadrant of the city. From large-scale murals and permanent sculptures to temporary installations and community-led projects, the map makes it easy for people to explore artworks that bring life to our public spaces, as well as to share their own discoveries. I don't know if you know that anyone can go online and add to the map with public art that they know about from their own neighborhoods, making this a truly inclusive and accessible public art project. Next slide, please. 2025 was an extremely busy year for public art. Our public art team grew to include 7 full-time employees and 18 project specialists from various artistic and cultural backgrounds, including 7 Indigenous and Métis public art specialists, many of whom you'll see here today. In addition, we worked with a series of curators, writers, consultants, and Indigenous elders, knowledge keepers, and project steering committees. Together, these employees and contractors are developing plans, engaging communities, and delivering annual programs for the benefit of Calgarians. To date, we have completed or are working on over 50 projects across the 3 priority areas that I mentioned earlier. Several artists have been embedded on design teams with engineers, architects, and planners for major city infrastructure projects, and more will be added to design teams by the end of 2026. And I just want to say that embedding artists on design teams for major municipal infrastructure projects is a really important role that artists play in helping to shape our city and building more equitable and empathetic infrastructure. Next slide. Oh, no. This slide shows you one of the 14 art buses that was on Calgary transit routes in 2025. This one was done by local artist Sam Hester. Art Bus is just one of the many projects we undertook last year, and this is a great example of taking public art to where the people are all across the city. Next slide, please. We have created 433 artist opportunities in several multi-year public art projects since 2021 and currently have 17 curators on our roster. We have awarded 187 organizational grants to work within public art since 2021. And one more thing I'd like to add is that over 90% of the artists on all of these projects are local. We continue to work closely with the City of Calgary's Arts and Culture Business Unit, as well as other city business units to deliver many of our public art projects. I can't possibly name all of the projects here that are currently underway, so I encourage you to visit our website, but also to contact us because sometimes there's new projects being added all the time, so really we can barely keep up. This image is of the Center City Banner Project, which engages different artists to create artwork for banners displayed on poles and bridges leading into the city's core. This photo is of the current banners by local artist Mackenzie Brown. And as we advance to the next slide, Patti, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kirsten. Public art has been one of the newest programs that we have undertaken on behalf of the city, and it has been just such a tremendous addition to the variety of ways that we try to elevate and amplify arts and culture, and it's just been astonishing to be a part of that journey and to watch all of the various ways that art in the public realm impacts Calgarians and affects them and how they respond to their city and to their sense of belonging. So thanks very much to Kirsten and the team. This next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we undertake several initiatives to build awareness for the arts, including our comprehensive events listing site, yycwhatson.ca. I hope all of you list your events on YYC What's On. It's now bigger and better than ever. In 2025, we partnered with Tourism Calgary, the City of Calgary, and through Downtown Strategies and Red Point Media to deliver a shared citywide events database that consolidates event information and makes it easier for people to find events. Fancy that. Calgary is the first Canadian city with a single shared events database governed across municipal, tourism, cultural, and community partners. And we are very happy to be a part of it. It means that our arts and culture events calendar is growing with more events from across the city. And it also means that when you post your arts events with us, they automatically get shared with other partners using the database. And the result, of course, is now it's easier for everyone to find out what's on in Calgary so that more people go to more things. Other ways we're building awareness for the arts is through our Living a Creative Life web series, which delivers monthly video episodes created by local production company Foreigners, which now has over 95,000 subscribers. So lots of folks hearing about the stories of Calgary's artists and arts community. Our Classifieds, which is the most visited page on our website, is a helpful resource where you can list and find job opportunities, artist calls, workshops, and much more. Our community directories, which help people learn about and connect to artists in Calgary. Please make sure you've added yourself to our community directories. We have a summer staffer working on the directory, and she's probably going to be mortified. Dana, where's Dana? There's Dana up at the back there. If you want to find out more about how to get on the directory, go see Dana. We also build awareness through our signature events, such as the Mayor's Celebration for the Arts, including the Cultural Leaders Legacy Arts Awards, the Poet Laureate Program, the Congress, the Report to Community, and our Holiday Open House. All opportunities for people to gather, celebrate the arts, and mingle with old and new friends. And we always strive to have good food. Not sure who put that in there, but okay. Next slide. Marking the 10th anniversary of Living a Creative Life, an arts development strategy for Calgary, and to understand how Calgarians imagine possible future directions for the arts, we engaged Intelligent Futures to convene a citizens reference panel in 2025. This is a way for us to find out from Calgarians what's important to them, instead of us deciding what's important to them. I'm very happy to invite John Lewis from Intelligent Futures up to the mic to tell you about the Citizen Reference Panel process and what we learned. So over to you, John.
Okay, happy Friday, everybody. Glad to be with you and share the journey that we went on with this wonderful group of citizens and our fellow Calgarians. So, as Patti mentioned, we wanted to gather folks from that really represented this community. So there was a recruitment process that really tried to reflect the diversity of the city in all its forms, whether that be age, gender, cultural background, location in the city, to really represent what this city is all about. We're very fortunate to have 32 wonderful people that went through the process with us. We took on just a tiny little challenge. You can see the question here: how might we imagine a cultural community that empowers every Calgarian to live a creative life and contribute to a prosperous, innovative city where everyone belongs? There's obviously a lot in there. From the individual that empowers every Calgarian. So, as Patti said in her opening remarks, that the arts are for all of us, not just some of us, all the way to contributing to this wonderful, diverse city. So the journey that we undertook, thought it would be worth sharing what these folks got up to. So we had the usual, let's get ourselves semi-organized for what we're going to get up to, get people oriented. And then we got into the deep dive, which was really the fun part of the process. So rather than have a series of workshops where the panelists would just receive a bunch of information via presentations, as obviously dynamic as presentations can be, we decided to have folks go through experiences of the arts. So over the course of the summer, Greg, Melissa, and the team did a wonderful job of organizing and curating a whole bunch of opportunities to experience the arts. So that would be, the National Music Center, sort of a guided tour, whether that would be exploring the murals across the Beltline through the Bump Project, going through the 50th anniversary retrospective of the new gallery. In addition, what would that be? The Wednesday, so the day before everything goes live on Folk Fest. What does it look like before a major event like that gets underway? The tour of the Civic Art Vault, dress rehearsals of the CPO or Theatre Calgary, the Esker Foundation, and there were others. There was also a list of here's other things you could do if you want to over the summer. So the folks could really experience the arts instead of just get a presentation. Again, as dynamic as presentations can be. We also wanted them to understand the arts from a few different perspectives as well. So we did some research, sort of global promising practices. So you can see an example of a couple of those snapshots. So how are the arts and accessibility connected? How are the arts being used for activism? Things like that. So we had this sort of, here's what's happening in other places so they could understand from a broader perspective. And then we had sort of podcasts type conversations with folks that are artists practicing in the city or they're leading arts organizations. Great folks like Wakefield Brewster and Yisun Chang and others, so they could understand, whether you're driving your kids to soccer practice or whatever, you can still understand what it's like to be inside the arts in the city. Then we took all that great learning, and then the group reflected, and then they started to put their heads together and say, after all this learning and all this experience, what are the challenges that we see in the arts ecosystem, and what are our recommendations to do something about that? And so what you see here is just evidence of the hard work that they put in. So this was the workshop where they were generating what are the key challenge questions that we observe that need answering. And I should mention, I haven't really specified here, that this isn't a CADA specific. CADA, very grateful that they put on this process, but this is really about the whole arts system. And so the group really put a lot of great thought into what are those challenge questions, and then following answer those questions, what are the recommendations that could emerge from that. So I'll just quickly go through these challenge questions, and I just encourage you to think for yourselves, how could you respond to these questions? We created this for two reasons. The first is to actually, generate some answers, so there could be some recommendations coming out of this work. But, a recommendation might be implemented, like let's say, YYC what's on. That was something that was talked about. Could there be a single source to learn what's up? So then that's, that box is checked. Now what? But there's also, there could be technology evolves. And so the recommendation perhaps stale dates, but these challenge questions, they're going to last. And so I'll just quickly walk you through these. So there were 7 that really played this role. So how might we build a clear, visible pathways to help artists learn, take risks, and advance in Calgary? So the panel heard that there are times where artists may feel that they need to leave the city to really, fulfill their biggest potential. And so the group was concerned about that. And so how could we help address that? How might we invite the broader community to play a stronger role in sustaining local artists? I'll talk about that a little more in a minute. How can we ensure that all artists have access to the building blocks they need to create and share their work? So that could be actual materials, that could be space, all those kinds of things to make sure that artists have the sort of supportive infrastructure, if you will, to do their thing. How might we encourage more Calgarians to explore and express their own creativity? Case in point, Jesse on the panel, he would take just random things that you would see at any workshop and create these works of art. So this is from our last workshop, I asked him to, in the morning, it was a full day workshop, and I asked him, could you work your magic, and we need something that we can pass around as sort of our talking object at the end. And this is what he came up with. So that thing, actually, as you push it down, that flower kind of retreats and it comes back open. I will say every single time I asked him, could I keep one of them? And every single time he said no, and he said he's taking it to his girlfriend. So her win is our loss. How might we make arts opportunities easy to find and understand for Calgarians? Again, YYC what's on. Here, Sandra and Allison are showing off their portraits that they drew for each other. You might be able to see the only challenge was they couldn't take their eyes off of each other as they drew. So that might explain some of what you see there. Lowering the cost of participation. So because we had folks that came from all sorts of backgrounds, they did a wonderful job of really raising, we might take for granted the kind of access to the arts, but whether that be actual cost of tickets, transportation, child elder care, a number of things. So how can we start to address that so that more people can feel welcome? And then lastly, how might we build belonging and inclusion so that everyone feels that the arts are for them? So there might be a bit of, they don't feel comfortable. They've never been to an arts performance, for example. That could be, they maybe feel like their cultural background isn't represented. There's any number of things. So how might we just make sure that everyone understands that the arts are for them? So those are the 7 challenge questions they came up with. And then they came up with a series of recommendations. So you can see there's a lot of work that these folks put into it. I'm not going to get into every one of these. I'll just highlight a few of them. With inviting the broader community to play a stronger role. So, the group talked about that, every artist is functionally a small business. They have to do the books, they have to do marketing, they have to do any number of things that perhaps take away from their creative practice. And we've got a really smart city that has lots of professionals in it. So could we connect folks with a volunteer to artist matching hub? So let's say I'm a retiring accountant and I want to contribute. Could I help artists with their books? There's folks that are just coming to Canada and they just need some experience in the city, in the Canadian marketplace. So but they're a marketing genius, so they could help an artist with their marketing and sort of get that experience in that network that way, which I thought was a really interesting idea. How can we get folks to explore and express their own creativity? This idea I thought was really cool. Park creativity corners and fixtures. So, you go to some parks and there's those machines that you can do your thing. So could we have concrete easels that people could just experiment? And so those are part of the infrastructure in the city. And the basic premise there of can we reduce barriers to try was a way that it was put. So I think a really interesting way to make it integrated throughout the city. It could be in every single ward, no problem. And then the last one about that belonging and inclusion. So one of the things that it's one of my favorite stories from the process. So when the group was introducing this idea, one of the representatives from that group said, "Okay, so you might not want to go by yourself to an event. Let's say, for example, you're a country music loving guy who wants to go to the ballet. I'm a country music loving guy that wants to go to the ballet, but my friends don't want to go. So is there an ability to connect with other people that their pals don't want to go to the ballet? We can meet up and we can go together." Again, reduce that barrier, create that sense of community. So lots of great ideas. I'll share the report with you in a minute. The impact, I think this is really important in a time where we are all grappling with eroding democracy, lack of connection in our communities. This is really, really important stuff that came from this. 84% of the participants said they felt a stronger connection to the city as a result of this process, which I think is really, really important. 87% said they learned more about the diversity of arts in the city. Probably the most oft quoted thing in the whole process was, "I didn't know this was here. I didn't know this was in our city." The blue dot map that you showed was, a good example of that. It's disgusting how little culture there is in Nose Hill Park, but that's, and then I think also important in terms of let's keep figuring out new and innovative ways to build democracy. 94% said they would volunteer for a similar kind of process. So I think that's really, really important. So what's next? We're going to continue the conversation. We're going to be chatting with folks over the summer into the fall and just trying to figure out, there are specific recommendations, but those challenge questions can be answered in 100 different ways. So we're going to chat with folks to see where the hotspots of interest are. So instead of, as Patti said, sort of a top-down, this is the way it should be, the citizens have told us, here's where some important challenges are, and then we can tap into the creativity of the ecosystem to help address that. So I just want to close with a huge sense of gratitude for CADA for putting this on, for the citizen reference panel and those folks that were on the panel. I think we have a few people that were here. Would you mind standing up? And Pauline? We got a few of the panelists here. Thank you, folks. And I did a very quick math, and I think collectively these folks probably gave somewhere between 900 and 1,000 hours of their time to do this work. So I encourage you to get out your phones and quickly scan this because it's now live. And thank you for the opportunity and look forward to continuing this work. Thanks very much.
So there were many things that I discovered as kind of stepping back a little bit from the process. And one of them was just how incredible it was that from the 7 challenge questions, half of them were about the care and well-being of the community, of artists. And so when we talk about Calgary arts development and centering artists inside that arts ecosystem, it's not just CADA. It's Calgarians who think about that, who care about that. And as John said, Patti didn't get to go through her Rolodex and decide who those 32 members are. Well, actually, there was rigor. There was a civic lottery process that was undertaken to ensure that we had voices from throughout the city in the many, many ways that we can sort of cut across and through and with our city. And so, again, I'm just so grateful to those of you who are with us today. And we look forward to a continued relationship and participation. And hopefully there are folks from the arts community here who will want to get to know you better. And then for those of you in the community, notwithstanding the QR code, and you can see the report itself, we'll start to send out information probably in the late summer, about the Congress. So this year, our Living a Creative Life Congress will really focus around those 7 challenge questions and the recommendations. And our intention at this point, depending on what we see from the work that John and the team and the reference panel will undertake in the community, is to make it a bit of a roll up our sleeves and kind of look through those recommendations. Maybe there are others that you're already working on, that we can start to sort of focus our efforts and align our efforts in response to many of the challenge questions that I actually know many of you already keep yourselves up at night thinking about. And so now we've got Calgarians with us on that journey. We don't have to be alone in our communities to try and do this kind of heavy lifting, which is very heavy lifting, and we know that. And see if there are things that we can come up with together that we think maybe give us a bit more of a ripple, a bit more of a push and a nudge, and really continue to create this incredible art city that we have as Calgary. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. So let's move on to the next slide. 2023-26, this was a representation of our strategic directions. 25 was the 3rd year of our 4-year strategic framework, Ego Matapap. The name was gifted to us by Sakokoto, and it talked about the journey beginning. And this was coming out of COVID and trying to figure out what life looked like and how we were going to get back to pre-COVID numbers, which, by the way, we are back at, and then some. Yeah, exactly. The framework focuses on purpose, people, community, and resources. We take a systems approach, recognizing the arts sector is a complex system that includes everything from individual artists to small and large organizations, venues, events, arts education, and many inputs and outputs at multiple scales. Next slide. Over the course of 2025, we developed the next 4-year part of the journey, 2027 to 2030, which builds on our previous and current work with a focus on the world we are living in today and the path forward we are anticipating in the next 4 years. And again, on the side of the slide, you see this beautiful story that Sakokoto shared with us about turning into the storm. And as CADA, we want to turn into the storm and really start to face those challenges in a way that we hope gets us out the other end of the storm faster than constantly trying to outrun and stay ahead of the storm. So anyway, yeah, we belong to this moment is filled with known and unknown challenges. Amid disruption and uncertainty, we're called on to face the shifting headwinds, turn into the storm with courage, fortitude, and kindness, and move forward with intention. And as I said, the story of the buffalo there and how we might be part of leading. I'm not sure referring to our community as a herd is a good thing, but buffaloes travel in herds, and how we might all together face that storm together and get through to the other side. And again, I hope things like the Canada Council announcement begin to help us do that, begin to help us to make our way through the storm. One of the current storms we all face, thank you, JS, for your op-ed piece earlier, is the Alberta referendum coming up. My bullet says, talk about how separation would be bad for artists. Did I mention the Canada Council announcement of $25 million over 5 years? That's for Canadians, right? For Albertans inside Canada. Imagine what it would be like to co-produce a show with companies in other countries. So now you're dealing with border issues, you're dealing with customs, you're dealing with taking inventory or equipment across borders and getting permission to do that. What would citizenship look like? Well, we already know what some people want it to look like. And so I invite you to inform yourselves and to consider. There are actually 10 questions on the referendum, so it isn't only about separation. And in particular, there are 5 questions concerning immigration. And I can say this with all absolute honesty. My grandfather on my mom's side and my dad were immigrants. And if we were to look at the questions currently being proposed, there is no way they would have been invited to Canada. And there's no way I would be here and getting to do what I do. And that's so for any of us who are children of immigrants, this is a big deal. And I would really invite you to inform yourselves and inform others of it's not just the do we stay or do we go or do we initiate, all that stuff. It's more about who else gets to decide to stay or come and be a part of this. And then the other questions are around the powers of federal authority versus provincial authority. And again, do we really want to slice up and reduce federal power so that some of it might apply to other parts, but unless the government here decides, it might not apply to us. Like, oh, I don't know, healthcare, as an example. Education, as an example. So because I can, I wanted to take this time to ask you and invite you and encourage you to inform yourselves and your communities. It doesn't take much to go on the interwebs and Google Alberta referendum questions, and you can see all kinds of commentary. Use your platforms to speak up. I know sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it can be challenging. If any of you have been in a conversation with someone who is voting in favor of, this is not about whether you agree or not. We can agree to disagree. That's what good places and freedom and independent thought do in a place. But we can have a respectful and open dialogue. And artists, more than anybody, are really good at that. You're really great at opening us up to consider ideas that maybe we don't find very good. I don't know if that's the right answer. And moreover, encouraging us to think about the ones that are good for us, not only as our own community, but Albertans worldwide. Yeah, I don't know, countrywide. So get your circles out to vote October 19th. We're thinking about projects that we might be able to encourage artists to undertake to get out the vote. Please don't think that this will be overturned because 70% don't believe in separatism, because that's what happens when, oh, someone else is going to vote and it's so out of whack that I don't have to vote because it doesn't matter. Those other 9 questions really, really matter. As much as the separatist question, in my humble opinion. So please show up. And if you are planning to do something, let us know, so we can spread the word. Maybe there is coalition and movement building, or we can introduce you, for better or for worse. We're very aware of all kinds of organizations working in both camps, and maybe there are ways to increase your opportunities. Next slide. So this is one that I am super, super excited about. Because all eyes are on us, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for arts and culture in Calgary. In 25, I had the opportunity and privilege to accept an invitation from OCAD University to be the inaugural policy fellow at the Cultural Policy Hub for 3 months. So I was out in Toronto. It's because of the remarkable board and staff at Calgary Arts Development that I could actually step away for that time and not worry for a moment that my presence would be missed and that we were well taken care of and that the community was in good hands. I do want to particularly thank Chima and the members of the board for agreeing to let me go. And I want to extend my gratitude to the leadership team for stepping in and covering, and you're all over the place. So thank you. And in particular, I want to thank Melissa Tuplin, who took on the role of acting president and CEO, and I'm sure had no clue what she was getting into when I was like, hey, for 3 months, you want to do this? Could you? And it was, of course, writing applications and getting in front of council and doing all kinds of fun stuff. So thanks so much, Melissa. Now, one of the most significant things that I learned while I was away was, as I said, all eyes are on Calgary. There has been over $5 billion of cultural infrastructure investment, and it's going to culminate in a whole bunch of openings from a kind of late spring, mid-year 27 to the end of 2028. And whenever I go to Toronto or Ottawa or other points east, and we heard today others who travel for work and otherwise, were repeatedly asked, what the heck is happening in Calgary? How did you get this to happen in Calgary? When I talk about that middle period, and for those of you who are at the Celebration for the Arts, excuse me, because I'll repeat myself, we're going to open a new event center in the heart of the Culture and Entertainment District. We're going to open the Workland Center. We're going to open the Glenbow. We're going to open the National Access Arts Center. We're going to celebrate 50 years of Loose Moose Theatre, 50 years of Storybook, 50 years of Vertigo, 60 years of Alberta Ballet, and the list goes on. And I'm sure there are milestones I'm missing, and we're keeping a list. So for any of you who are celebrating milestones, who have openings of all kinds, please be sure that we know. YYC What's On is also a place. It's 150 years since making Treaty 7. We're going to host the World Cup of Hockey in 2028. We're hosting the International Indigenous Games in the summer of 27. The world will be watching us. And as I said, in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see all of this happening in that short span of time, this is our time. This is our opportunity to really show the world what Calgary's arts and culture community has to share with the world. And this doesn't happen by accident. There are many contributing factors, including our city's entrepreneurial spirit and the strength of our diversity. Because of the years and years that all of you, our artists, our arts organizations, festivals, and events have delivered remarkable work. I don't know if you know this, but during the Departures Conference, which used to be called Canadian Live Music Week in Toronto every year, the city was named the Live Music City of the Year for 2026 against Toronto, Hamilton, Kelowna. Because of municipal and provincial funders who have increased their support. And as I mentioned earlier, many of you know about the Canada Council's announcement last weekend. That makes a difference. It's because the private sector and philanthropic supporters believe in the arts. And for many of those openings that I just spoke to, there were transformative gifts that were made that are quite innovative in their own right, and only in Calgary did the nature of those gifts come to pass. So Calgary's being seen as an important arts and culture city in other parts of Canada and beyond. And so, as I said, this is our opportunity. Let's not waste this, because you're not going to get an opportunity. We're not going to get an opportunity like this again, at least not in my lifetime. And we have an extraordinary story to tell and shout from the rooftops. So, when the Minister Mark Miller was here, one of the things that I got to share with his staff and his team is that in the story of Canada, and particularly in light of the slide just before this and other things, the next chapter should be a chapter of the West, rooted in Calgary. We have the ability to create that chapter. And if we miss that, we don't take advantage of that, that's on us. There is nobody else that we can blame. So I really invite you to think about the ways in which you can contribute to that chapter that will be in the story of Canada, and what you want it to say about all of you and about the tremendous contributions that you make into building our city into what it is today. Next slide. We're in the home stretch here, folks. On the screen now, you see the names of folks or organizations who were featured throughout this presentation today and the photographers whose images we used. I hope that this presentation has given you a bit of a glimpse into the impact of your collective work in our city and the importance of public support for the arts. City Council is going to be going into budget deliberations for the next four-year budget, 2027 to 30, in November. We have asked for an increase to the investment we get from the city, despite people discouraging us from doing that at the city. And this is a time when councillors are signaling that there isn't any extra money, as I said. It's also a time when City Council's priorities are all around infrastructure, core infrastructure. And it's a time for you to be in conversation with your councillors, get your board members out, other volunteers and audiences to tell City Council how important a strong and vibrant arts and culture ecosystem is to the future of our city, economically and socially, especially in times of inflation and financial uncertainty, times of turmoil, times when loneliness is at epidemic proportions, and times when people are craving opportunities to find meaning, joy, and connection, just like you heard from John and from the Citizen Reference Panel. We are experiencing a cultural renaissance and a new identity for our city. And I see many of you in the room who have been pushing this rock up this hill for years. And finally, our time is going to come. Finally, it's here. So I cannot stress enough how much I will look forward to celebrating all of that time with those of you who've been pushing the rock up the hill alongside me and others. And for those of you who maybe haven't been here as long, to come take part in the journey, as Sakokoto says. Some of it will be turning into the storm, for sure. This is not going to be easy. But what I can tell you is in that 27 to 28 time, you are not going to have a problem finding media. You are not going to have a problem with people looking for stories about you. You are not going to have a difficulty with people coming out and being curious about what the heck is happening in Calgary from across the country and beyond. And so use that to your advantage. It's our time to live up to the potential of this moment, like I know all of us and all of you can. And it's not a time to take our foot off the gas. And that's the message that we're sending to council. And when your folks speak, they will hear it, because I'm getting paid to do this. But your volunteers, of which they are 25,000 plus strong, who gave 550,000 hours of their time in 2025, what they say matters. So I think I feel like I'm telling you all these things you have to do because you don't have anything else to do in your day. This is where community and coming together can really, I think, create that high tide that lifts all boats. So next slide. Our full 2025 Accountability and Impact Report is now live online, artsaction.ca. Many of you I know have gone and seen it before, so all those stats and all the slides that you saw earlier are all there. Before we close for refreshments, I'm happy to answer any questions, hear any thoughts or comments. John is here from Intelligent Futures. Kirsten is here to answer any questions about public art. We have this really funky noise amplifier, sound amplifier thing that Helen's desperate to throw to somebody. Happy to answer any questions or comments folks have. Anyone Anything? We told you everything you needed to know. There's one up there. Okay. Go for it. Who's got a good throwing arm? Oh. Perfect.
A real thing. Okay. My deal is. Oh, okay.
There. Oh, wow. That's great.
Wow, that's fun. Okay, so you know how they had the mayoral election last year, and there was arts through that political movement as well. Mm-hmm. And what you've said about this referendum is so true. And we have to get people to get on board. You know, we're all immigrants. We're all. The only ones who aren't are, you know, the original people.
Yep.
Yeah, so to sit there and shun people is not equal. We need hope, harmony, joy. Was that a question or a statement? Sorry. But yeah, I think we need to also do that with the art, how you had mentioned earlier.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I won't throw this.
Anyone?
Anybody want?
Anyone else?
Hi, Joe.
Oh.
Hi, Patty.
Hey, Joe.
Joe Cece, I really like your buffalo analogy. I'm the MLA for Calgary Buffalo. So I guess my question is, we've seen the federal government step up with great money for the Canada Council for the Arts. That's going to help over 5 years. Is there anything potentially coming to increase AFA, other capital that's before the provincial government that makes a lot of sense that they're not addressing?
Well, there's probably a lot of people in this room who have some thoughts about that in terms of your own infrastructure projects. You know, it's interesting because, now I'm going to sound super partisan, I don't mean to be. Minister Tanya Fur is a great minister. She has restored funding to the AFA in ways that I honestly never thought. It was interesting to me that on Sunday when she was there, I was reminded one of the board members for the Canada Council for the Arts was an AFA board member back when I first started, so like 2012-ish. And so AFA budget currently, 35 million. AFA budget back in 2012, 38 million. So great that we're seeing a restoration of funds. You haven't even come close to catching up. So notwithstanding the major infrastructure announcements that the province has announced, and again, I'm not trying to say we're not grateful, we need it. If I were to say what the major priority is, it's to restore the AFA back to the 38 million in 2026, 2030 dollars, which would make it probably closer to like 40 something million, if not more. You know, when the two granting budgets of Calgary and Alberta, Calgary and Edmonton, you add them up, we actually go beyond 35 million in just the two cities. So I'm grateful, and I'm never going to say, oh, that's a bad thing. But there is much more work to do, and particularly when we talk about underserved communities and those diverse communities that I was talking about there. There's a lot of work to do around Indigenous communities. There's a lot of work to do around 2S LGBTQIA plus communities. And don't even get me started again on that multicultural community piece, because that's the citizenship question, right? If you can't get health care, do you think you're going to qualify for arts funding? Like, it trickles, right? So it's never going to be about them. It is about us. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, Joe. And of course, the Music Commission, right? 1 year. So Alberta announced a Music Commission this year with 1 year of funding. And they announced a job role for a music commissioner. What are you going to do with 1 year of funding when probably 40% of that funding is for your own salary? So there are things we can do to encourage, and this minister in particular seems to have influence inside caucus. So reach out to her. She's really good about having meetings in community, and I think she's a good listener. Those of you who have met with her, I see nodding heads. She's noting it. And so I think that's a good, and then of course, please make sure you tell the critic for arts, culture, and the status of women as well, what you're saying and what you're sharing. Oh, not the stat, okay, just arts and culture. Fair enough. Oh, right, Janice.
It's 52 million. Would be 38.
Oh, it'd be 50, oh, there you go. 2026, $27, 38 million translates to $52 million. We got math nerds here. AI. Oh. We got AI math nerds here. Who else? Anyone else have any comments or thoughts? Anyone? And I see arms going up and I never know. Okay, well, we always want to allow for lots of time for networking. And again, I'm very happy to get to meet folks I've never met before and say hi again to folks that I have met before and hear about your projects. But again, if you're not a subscriber to CADA's newsletter, that's how you'll find out about dates for the upcoming Living a Creative Life Congress. We'll provide updates. I'm going to pick on Gab again from the Canada Council. He's right up there in the corner waving at me. So he's your guy to say thank you for that $25 million and how are you going to distribute it? And you should include CADA in helping you decide that. So refreshments and a reception down in the lower lobby area. Many, many thanks to all of you again. Chima just finished his time with us as the board chair, although he'll be with us for one more year as our past chair, about 45 minutes ago. So many thanks. We also have members of the Calgary Arts Development Board. I know I see Lisa and Miriam and Sarah, and so thank you all so much and our committee members. I can't introduce him to you in person, but Brian Kryaluk, who's been serving as our treasurer, will take on the role of chair, and we'll make sure to have him out meeting with folks very, very soon. Sakokoto, thank you so much for starting us off in a good way. Kirsten and John for sharing the podium with me. Bree for interpreting. I want to thank my team in particular, the staff and the leadership group at Calgary Arts Development. I always talk about how the key to hiring is hiring people smarter than you because they make you look good. And with things like this, they absolutely 100% do. So thank you all very much to the team, and you'll see them with their name tags all over the place. Many thanks to Platform, who yesterday was advised that they won the Governor General's Award for Architecture. Who knew a parkade would be one of the most beautiful buildings in Canada? But it is. And so congratulations to the team at Platform, and thank you all very much for having us here today. Now, let's go and enjoy some delicious snacks from great events in the lobby, continue the conversation, and again, thanks so much for coming out, and have a great rest of your day and the weekend.